Welcome to my new office in my new house. I know that this currently looks like the room of requirement, but it will very soon be the transformed office of my dreams. Hopefully, that is the goal. This is very exciting because this is the first time I've ever had an office to myself. My boyfriend and I have a 3-bedroom house now, so he has his own office, so this is a room that I get to do whatever I please with. And I have a lot of visions for this room. Probably too many ideas. You might ask, Laurel, what is your style? And I say, yes. It's everything. It's everything, it's nothing, it's everything, all of it. It's all the style. My vision for this office space is going to work as an office to work out of, craft room. I want to do more sewing projects, sit in a comfy chair and read, and to also film YouTube videos. My vision for this room, I want it to be like the Gryffindor common room, but if the Hufflepuffs got to it. The library from Beauty and the Beast, but haunted. A woodland tea party with mythical creatures as the guests. A Victorian museum stocked full of a retired wizard's knickknacks. If Beatrix Potter had written and illustrated The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. Like a quaint English cottage outside of a town with cobblestone streets where a young witch resides, and all the townspeople know she's a witch, but no one really says anything because she helps them out with special potions to cure their ailments and sicknesses. Like, that's what I have in mind. There's lots of different projects I want to do within this room. One of them is wallpapering one wall. I think I'm gonna DIY this chair. This is the wallpaper I will be using. I bought this full price. I think this is the same wallpaper that Best Dressed used in her room makeover, but she did the pink, and I have the minty color with the gold accents on there as well. All right, I guess it's time to start this room.
Okay, look what I found. If she doesn't know what this is, she's too young for you.
As I was playing around with the layout of this room, it seemed like everything was pressed up against each wall, so I decided to put my desk floating out against one of these walls like you see here. Onto the wallpaper, here's what you're gonna need. One smoothing tool, an X-Acto knife to cut, a good old-fashioned pair of scissors, and the wallpaper paste. I use the Roman, and of course the wallpaper itself. One tip, don't paint your nails a bright color because sometimes it would rub off onto the wallpaper. The first step in my process was wiping down all of the walls with a wet rag. I have never wallpapered anything before in my life, so it was kind of a daunting challenge, but I did watch a couple YouTube videos of how to put it up, and it was a little hard because I'm very short to reach all the way up to the ceiling, but once I put down a small layer of paste and smoothed it all out, it was actually pretty easy, and I was surprised how well it actually stuck, but it was very sticky. I just repeated my process with a thin layer of that paste. Yes, it did glob onto the floor a few times. Don't tell my landlord. And then I did my best to line up the pattern where it would match. That part was pretty easy until I realized that I left my cutting thing down below, so I had to start all over on this section. I made sure I was super careful with lining up the pieces of the pattern so that all of the leaves were cohesive throughout the entire wall. When it comes to wallpapering around those outlets, there are a few ways to do it, but I just did my best to trim along the edges, and it worked out pretty good. Here I am dancing, thinking that I'm almost done, but really I was just a child then, because when I picked up my X-Acto knife, the blade fell right out of the handle. So I had to sit there figuring out what to do with my half-pasted wallpaper on the wall, Yeah, I just had to stick it back in and start again. I don't want to say that the wallpapering was hard, but it definitely was no walk in the park, especially this corner. I don't even want to talk about the corner. It took me so long and it was so hard. I did end up with a fair amount of wallpaper at the end. I'm glad that I only bought the 2 rolls instead of the 3, so now I will recycle it and use it as expensive wrapping paper.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it.
One of the things I've been keeping an eye out for when thrifting is a large gold mirror. While I did find this one, it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, so I found this wood one that was about half the price. So I cleaned it up and went to Michael's to go get some gold spray paint, but of course I got distracted and instead made a fairy terrarium and had to go back to Michael's a second time to get what I actually needed. We interrupt this shopping montage for an adorable plant update. I'm just popping in because I want to say that I learned something on TikTok, and it's if you put a sweet potato in water and propagate it, it grows out vines. And I just want to say it works. This is only a few weeks of the sweet potato sitting in water, but I wanted to show you where I think it would look really cute next to. I just think that this will look really cute next to this.
3 weeks later.
A little update that literally nobody asked for. Plant that I just showed you. It's so tragic. So one day I looked at the water and the water was completely murky, and I think that the potato was like rotting from the inside out and it was really nasty and I had to toss it. This is all that's left of my... However, I did start over with a brand new sweet potato, and not that anyone cares, but that is my plant update. Okay, let's talk about this chair. I did not think I was going to be able to actually DIY this chair. I did like to keep that rocky chair aspect of it because it's very good for my lizard ADD brain, rocking back and forth like that. But I did go to a Christian craft supply store that will remain unnamed, and I ended up finding these almost cast iron looking claw foot, just beautiful chair legs, and there were 4 of them and they were half off, so I went for it. I really wanted to keep most of this room authentically vintage and authentically repurposed, bought secondhand, and I hadn't found metal chair legs like that, and they were much less expensive than some of the other chair legs I've had my eyes on. Basically, I opened up the entire back of the chair. The edges of the bottom had wood planks where I could fit those right angles of the chair legs perfectly into place on those wood boards. This chair was made very well, so the bottom I felt comfortable drilling holes into it and screwing in those chair legs just by hand. It was very satisfying ripping all of the edging off. I don't even know what you call it, flappy edge thing, but there were tons of staples in it and they got all over the carpet, and I ended up vacuuming some up even though I thought I got all of them. So if you do that, I'd recommend going outside to do a upholstery removal. I'm very excited with how the chair turned out, and I can't wait to show you in the final reveal, so stay tuned, almost done. Just have a few more details and then I'll show you the room. is done. My room is finished. Did I go a little bit overboard on this room? Absolutely I did. Do I also thoroughly love it? Absolutely I do. Am I a Virgo with a too much gene that didn't quite know where to stop? Yeah, clearly as you can see throughout this room, that is the case. But it is finally finished. I have been nitpicking throughout this room, trying to get everything to my liking. I've rearranged things countless times because I'm indecisive and I cannot, for the life of me, let it be. Almost every single thing in this room is authentically vintage, which is exactly what I wanted for this room. It feels like walking into a different time period, walking into another world, another realm. It has kind of evolved into its own entity, if you will. I kind of ended up organizing this room into almost themes in different sections. So over here I have my adventure theme with my sailboat and my pirate ship map, and my beasts that I have captured on my journeys and cataloged, different plants and different specimens that I have collected on my journeys, just bringing them back for my travels and displaying them for others to enjoy. Although the skulls are real, they were purchased secondhand. I'd like to think that they were purchased more ethically. The alligator I actually did find from a thrift store, weirdly enough. And then over here I have my Harry Potter trunk and my little mirror of Irised set up over here, and I think that the tapestry gives kind of a Gryffindor common room vibe. I thrifted this wonderful little bookshelf and I think it fits a lot better than the white one I had. And you can see all of my menagerie of plants that I have displayed there as well. On the other wall, I have my authentic mirror of Irised, the mini version. I have kind of a theme of cats and teacups and fairies and unicorns kind of sprinkled throughout. And then of course I have my little fortune telling station over here with my crystals and my crystal ball and my magical little hand. I do want to get some tarot cards, I think, at some point and display those around there as well. And then on the far wall behind me, I have my choice of weapons, so you can either choose between a sword or a wand when you go out to war or to battle. And of course my beautiful, beautiful wallpapered wall. I'm absolutely in love with this little mini dresser that I found. Funny enough, this was the first one that I found, and I instantly fell in love with it. I think it's like one of the best focal points of the room, if I may say so myself. But funny enough, I actually have seen a lot of that exact kind of side table dresser, whatever you want to call it, at other thrift stores, and it's taken a lot of willpower to not buy all of them because I obviously do not need more than one or maybe two in the future. I love thrifting for different furniture, and I think it's so much fun to find old things and give them life again. I made the little cloche with the skull. The lamp I got from an antique store. It said it's a 20s art deco, but I don't think it's actually authentically 20s, but I will need to go to a lighting electrician store because I tried to disassemble it to fix it and made it worse. So it does not light up without exploding. So I need to get that figured out as well. Don't worry, I will not be lighting any of the candles that are like close to like the tapestry or anything. They're just for decoration. Don't worry, I will not be setting this room on fire. The funny part about this room is that it was mostly made for an office for me to work out of, and yet the chair I have is the most uncomfortable chair on the face of the planet, and the desk is really quite small for me. I would like to have more space to do things. Could I have invested in a more comfortable chair or a larger desk? Yeah, I could have. Did I instead invest in a fortune-telling station? Yes. Welcome to me. The little shelf I have back here is kind of displaying my potion bottles and my little magical trinkets. I had been keeping an eye out for a vintage radio like this one for the longest time, and I found this one at an antique store for a little bit more, quite a bit more, than I usually like to spend on anything that's thrifted, or I don't like to spend a lot on antiques usually, because I can usually find them at thrift stores for cheaper. But I found this one and my jaw dropped and I just straight up gasped when I saw it. So I knew I had to get it, and I'm really happy I did because it's so freaking cute. And I love it so much. And funny enough, I ended up finding another one at a thrift store for $5 a couple weeks later. So I definitely snatched that one up too because I couldn't resist. So that one's in the living room. There's so many details in this room that I just love to look at. They make me so happy. I love to just sit in here and just kind of bask in the ambiance. Sometimes my boyfriend and I will come in here and just light a bunch of candles and it just feels like you're in like some creepy Victorian mansion, and I just love it so much. My chair turned out so great. I love it. It's honestly exactly what I wanted. I think the room turned out exactly how I envisioned it. I think if I owned this place, I would do things a little bit differently. I'm renting, so I obviously can't paint. I can't really do too many permanent things. I'm gonna have to fix a lot of holes before I move out and probably repaint the lovely apartment beige that everyone always paints. But that is a problem for future Laurel to have to figure out. This very well may not be at all your style. You might think it's hideous, you might think it's too much, which of course it is, but of course so am I. So I hope you enjoyed, at least it was entertaining for you to see. Head over to my Instagram. I'm gonna be posting a couple more pictures of this room and little details here and there, just because there's so much to look at and really take in and appreciate. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up so that I know to make more videos just like this. And I hope to make more vintagey things. I will still be making Arizona videos, but I also love things that are vintage. I tried to finish that outro for the sneeze, but it didn't happen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.